Every morning, before the world speaks to you, you speak to yourself. And most of us don't realize how powerful that first conversation is. Before the phone lights up with notifications, before responsibilities start knocking, before anyone tells you who you need to be for them, there is a quiet moment where you decide, consciously or unconsciously, how you will treat yourself. That moment shapes the entire day. Many women wake up already tired, not because their bodies are exhausted, but because their minds are heavy, heavy with expectations, heavy with comparisons, heavy with yesterday's mistakes and tomorrow's worries. And in that state, the first voice they hear is not kind. It says, "You're late, you're not doing enough, you should be better by now." When your day begins with self-criticism, you unknowingly give the world permission to treat you the same way. Self-respect does not start with how others treat you. It starts with how you treat yourself when no one is watching. The way you wake up, the tone of your inner voice, the thoughts you allow to sit with you in silence, these, one of the most emotionally exhausting things a woman learns, often too early in life, is how to say yes, even when every part of her is screaming no. Yes to extra work when she is already drained. Yes to emotional labor when her own heart feels empty. Yes to expectations that were never hers to begin with. And then, on top of that, she learns something even more damaging, that when she finally wants to say no, she must explain herself, justify herself, soften it, apologize for it, and make sure everyone else is comfortable with her discomfort. Over time, this habit quietly erodes self-respect. Many women believe that being kind means being available, that being loving means being accommodating, and that being a good person means never disappointing anyone. But here is a hard truth we rarely talk about. Every time you say yes to something that violates your limits, you are saying no to yourself. And when that happens repeatedly, resentment slowly replaces peace. You may still smile on the outside, but inside, something feels tight, heavy, and unheard. Saying no is not a rejection of others, it is an acceptance of yourself. Yet women are conditioned to fear it. Fear being labeled selfish. Fear being misunderstood. Fear being seen as difficult, rude, or ungrateful. So instead of saying a clear no, they say things like, "Let me see, maybe later, I'll try, okay, it's fine," even when it's not fine at all. These half yeses cost more energy than an honest no ever could. When you explain yourself excessively, you teach people that your boundaries are negotiable. You teach them that if they push hard enough, you might bend, not because you want to, but because you feel guilty. And guilt is a poor foundation for any relationship, whether with family, friends, or work. The truth is, people who benefit from your lack of boundaries will always question your first no. That doesn't mean your no is wrong. It means it's necessary. Learning to say no without explaining is not about becoming cold or uncaring. It's about becoming clear. Clear with your time. Clear with your energy. Clear with your priorities. When you stop over-explaining, you are not being disrespectful, you are being honest. And honesty, even when it's uncomfortable, creates healthier dynamics than silent resentment ever will. There will be discomfort at first. Your voice might shake. Your heart might race. You might replay the conversation later and wonder if you were too harsh. That's normal. You are unlearning years of conditioning. Growth often feels like guilt in the beginning because your nervous system is adjusting to a new standard, one where your needs matter too. Not everyone will like this version of you. Some people will push back. Some will accuse you of changing, zigzagging, changing, or not being the same anymore. But what they often mean is you are no longer as available, as convenient, or as controllable as before. And that is not a flaw, that is a sign of self respect taking root. When you say no calmly, without drama, without long explanations, something powerful happens. You start trusting yourself. You start believing that your feelings are valid without needing approval. You stop measuring your worth by how much you can give or sacrifice. And slowly, your relationships change. The ones built on respect will adjust. The ones built on guilt may fade. Both outcomes are okay. A woman who respects herself understands that her energy is finite. That rest is not laziness. That boundaries are not walls. They are doors with locks, and she decides who gets a key. She knows that her peace is not something she has to earn by overgiving. It is something she is allowed to protect. Saying no without explaining does not mean you owe nothing to anyone. It means you no longer owe yourself neglect. It means you recognize that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and you are done setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. It means choosing clarity over chaos, self-trust over people-pleasing, and respect over approval. And when you practice this daily, quietly, consistently, you will notice a shift. You will feel lighter, stronger, more grounded. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because you stop fighting yourself to make others comfortable. That is not selfishness. That is maturity. That is self-respect in action. From a very young age, many women are taught, directly or silently, that they must do everything perfectly. Perfect student, perfect daughter, perfect professional, perfect partner, perfect balance, and slowly perfection becomes the standard, not excellence, not effort, not growth, but flawlessness. The problem is, perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist in real life, yet it controls real decisions, real confidence, and real happiness. When perfection becomes the goal, progress feels like failure. You don't start because you're not ready. You don't try because you might not succeed. You don't speak because your words may not be perfect. You don't move forward because you're waiting for the right time, the right version of yourself, or the right circumstances. And while you wait, life keeps moving. Progress, on the other hand, is humble. It doesn't demand applause. It doesn't require everything to be in place. It simply asks you to show up as you are and take the next small step. Progress understands that growth is messy, uneven, and often uncomfortable. It allows mistakes. It allows pauses. It allows learning. Perfection allows none of that. Many women don't realize how much perfectionism is costing them. It costs peace because nothing ever feels enough. It costs confidence because self-worth becomes conditional. It costs opportunities because fear of failure becomes stronger than curiosity. And most dangerously, it costs self-trust because you start believing that unless you do something perfectly, it doesn't count. But life does not reward perfection. Life responds to consistency. The woman who moves forward imperfectly learns more, builds more resilience, and creates more momentum than the woman who waits to feel perfect before beginning. Progress compounds. One small step today makes the next step easier tomorrow. Perfection keeps resetting the starting line. Think about how children learn to walk. They don't wait until they can walk perfectly. They fall, stumble, cry, stand up, and try again. No one tells them, don't walk until you can do it flawlessly. Growth is natural when judgment is absent. Somewhere along the way, women are taught to judge themselves more harshly than anyone else ever could. Progress asks a different question than perfection. Perfection asks, is this good enough? Progress asks, am I better than yesterday? Perfection focuses on outcome. Progress focuses on direction. And direction is what truly changes lives. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be willing to begin. There will be days when your progress feels invisible. Days when effort doesn't immediately turn into results. Days when you feel like you're moving slowly while others seem to be racing ahead. Progress doesn't always look impressive from the outside. Sometimes it looks like resting instead of quitting. Sometimes it looks like trying again after embarrassment. Sometimes it looks like choosing kindness toward yourself when old habits of self-criticism resurface. Perfectionism often disguises itself as high standards, but underneath it is fear, fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. Progress is rooted in courage. The courage to be seen while learning. The courage to be imperfect in public. The courage to trust that growth is happening even when validation is absent. A woman who chooses progress over perfection begins to treat herself differently. She celebrates effort, not just results. She learns from mistakes instead of shaming herself for them. She understands that confidence is built through action, not waiting, and slowly she develops a healthier relationship with herself, one based on acceptance rather than constant evaluation. This shift is not about lowering standards. It is about changing the measurement. You can still aim high while being gentle with yourself along the way. You can still want more while appreciating how far you've come. Progress does not mean settling, it means evolving. It means understanding that becoming your best self is a journey, not a performance. When you allow yourself to grow imperfectly, you create space for creativity, joy, and authenticity. You stop living for approval and start living with intention. You stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I learn? That change in mindset opens doors perfection never could. Progress over perfection is a daily choice. Some days you'll forget. Some days old habits will return. But every time you choose to move forward, even slightly, you reinforce the belief that you are allowed to grow without being flawless. And that belief is powerful. Because a woman who embraces progress understands something deeply important. She does not need to be perfect to be worthy. She is worthy because she is trying, learning, and showing up. And that, more than perfection ever could, is what creates a meaningful, resilient, and fulfilled life. Every day, a woman gives away her energy in ways she rarely notices. Through conversations that drain her, through worries that replay in her mind, through expectations she feels pressured to meet, and through emotions she absorbs from everyone around her. Energy is not just physical strength, it is emotional, mental, and spiritual. And when it is constantly leaked without awareness, exhaustion becomes a lifestyle, not a temporary state. Many women believe they are tired because they are doing too much. In reality, they are tired because they are carrying too much that is not theirs. Other people's moods, other people's problems, other people's opinions, other people's urgency. Over time, this emotional weight becomes normal, and they forget what it feels like to be light, focused, and present in their own lives. Protecting your energy does not mean isolating yourself from the world. It means becoming intentional about where your attention goes. Attention is energy. Whatever you focus on grows stronger in your life. When you give attention to negativity, conflict, or constant comparison, it slowly reshapes your inner world. You may still function, but you stop feeling alive. One of the biggest drains on a woman's energy is unnecessary engagement. Not every comment needs a response. Not every argument needs your explanation. Not every opinion deserves your reaction. When you react to everything, you train your nervous system to stay in a constant state of alert. Peace requires discernment, the ability to choose what deserves your involvement and what does not. There is strength in restraint. Walking away from drama is not weakness, it is wisdom. Silence is not surrender, it is strategy. When you stop proving, defending, and explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, you reclaim an enormous amount of mental space. That space can then be used for creativity, clarity, and growth. Emotional boundaries are just as important as physical ones. If someone consistently leaves you feeling drained, confused, or diminished, pay attention. Your body often recognizes what your mind tries to rationalize. Protecting your energy sometimes means limiting access, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. You are not obligated to attend every emotional fire you didn't start. Another major energy drain is overthinking, replaying conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios, criticizing yourself for things you cannot change. Overthinking creates a false sense of control, but in reality, it steals presence. Energy spent on worry is energy taken away from living. Learning to pause your thoughts, even briefly, can restore more energy than sleep sometimes does. Protecting your energy also means honoring rest without guilt. Many women feel they must earn rest by exhaustion. They only slow down when their bodies force them to. But rest is not a reward, it is a requirement. When you rest proactively, you prevent burnout instead of recovering from it. Listening to your body is not laziness, it is intelligence. The environments you place yourself in matter. The content you consume matters. The people you surround yourself with matter. Energy is contagious. Spend enough time around stress, and your body adapts to it. Spend enough time around calm, and your nervous system begins to soften. Choosing peaceful environments is not privilege. It is a practice. Protecting your energy also requires self-awareness. You must notice what drains you and what restores you. Some conversations energize you, others deplete you. Some routines ground you, others overwhelm you. When you become aware, you gain choice, and choice is power. There will be moments when protecting your energy feels uncomfortable. You may feel guilty for stepping back. You may worry about disappointing others. You may fear being misunderstood. But remember this, your energy is the foundation of everything you do. When it is depleted, nothing else functions well. Protecting it is not selfish, it is responsible. A woman who protects her energy moves differently. She responds instead of reacts. She listens to her intuition instead of noise. She chooses peace over proving. She understands that her calm is valuable and she no longer trades it for temporary approval. When you protect your energy daily, life begins to feel more spacious, your thoughts become clearer, your emotions stabilize, your decisions align more closely with who you truly are, not because the world becomes less demanding, but because you stop giving your power away to things that don't deserve it. Your energy is your life force. Once a moment is gone, it never returns. So be selective, be intentional, be gentle with yourself. The more you protect your energy, the more fully you will be able to show up for yourself and for the life you are meant to live. Most women begin their day by reaching for their phone before they reach for themselves. Before the mind is fully awake, before the heart is steady, before the body has even caught its breath, the world rushes in through a screen. Messages, news, images, opinions, achievements, and comparisons all arrive at once, demanding attention. And without realizing it, the mind starts running someone else's race before it has even decided where it wants to go. The first moments of the day are incredibly powerful. They are like wet clay, soft, impressionable, easily shaped. Whatever touches your mind during this time leaves an imprint. When social media becomes the first influence, your thoughts are shaped by other people's highlights, other people's urgency, and other people's expectations. This is not because social media is evil, but because your mind is unprotected in those early moments. When you start the day scrolling, you hand over control of your mental state. A single post can trigger comparison. A single headline can create anxiety. A single message can change your mood. And once the mind is unsettled, it carries that disturbance into the rest of the day. Even if nothing bad actually happens, you feel rushed, distracted, and internally noisy. Nourishing your mind before social media is about reclaiming that sacred first space of the day. It is about choosing to feed your inner world before exposing it to the outer one. Just as you would not start your day with junk food if you wanted physical health, starting your day with mental clutter slowly affects emotional health. A nourished mind is calmer, clearer, and more grounded. It does not mean a mind without problems. It means a mind that is better equipped to handle them. When you begin your day with something intentional, silence, prayer, reflection, reading, gratitude, or mindful breathing, you create a stable emotional base. From that base, external information has less power to shake you. Many women say they check their phone in the morning because they don't have time. But the truth is, 5 minutes of presence can save hours of mental chaos later. When you pause before scrolling, you remind yourself that your worth is not measured by likes, your life is not behind, and your journey does not need constant comparison. Social media often shows you what others want you to see, not what they truly experience. When you consume this first thing in the morning, your subconscious absorbs unrealistic standards before it absorbs self-acceptance. You may not consciously compare, but the comparison still happens quietly. Over time, this erodes confidence and creates a constant sense of not enough. Nourishing your mind means choosing content that expands you, not contracts you. It means asking yourself, what does my mind need right now? Not, what is everyone else doing? Some mornings your mind needs stillness. Some mornings it needs encouragement. Some mornings it needs grounding. When you listen to that need, you build self-trust. This habit is not about rejecting technology, it is about timing. Social media will still be there later. Messages will still arrive. The world will continue to move. But your early morning mental state cannot be recovered once it is disturbed. That moment of quiet self-connection is precious. When you nourish your mind first, your reactions throughout the day change. You become less reactive, less defensive, and less easily triggered. You respond from intention rather than impulse. You carry an inner steadiness that protects you from external chaos. This practice also strengthens focus. Constant scrolling trains the brain to jump rapidly from one stimulus to another. Over time, this reduces attention span and increases restlessness. When you begin your day without that stimulation, you allow your brain to wake up naturally. Thoughts become clearer. Decisions feel simpler. Creativity flows more easily. Nourishing the mind is also an act of self-respect. It sends a message to yourself: my inner world matters. My peace matters. My mental health matters. This message, repeated daily, slowly reshapes how you treat yourself in other areas of life. There will be days when you forget, days when the phone feels irresistible. That's okay. This is not about perfection, it's about awareness. Each time you choose presence over scrolling, you strengthen the habit. Each time you pause, you reclaim a piece of yourself. A woman who nourishes her mind before social media begins her day rooted instead of reactive. She moves through life with greater clarity and confidence, not because the world becomes quieter, but because her inner voice becomes stronger. And when your inner voice is strong, external noise loses its power. Gratitude is often misunderstood. Many people think it means pretending everything is fine, forcing positivity, or ignoring pain. But true gratitude is not denial, it is perspective. It does not erase difficulties, but it changes how you stand within them. For a woman navigating responsibilities, expectations, and emotional labor, gratitude becomes a quiet anchor, especially on days when life feels heavy. Hard days arrive unannounced, plans fall apart, people disappoint, effort goes unnoticed. On such days, the mind naturally focuses on what is missing, what went wrong, and what hurts. This is not weakness, it is human. But when the mind stays there for too long, it begins to shrink the world. Everything feels darker, heavier, and more overwhelming than it truly is. Practicing gratitude on difficult days is not about saying, "At least it's not worse." It is about noticing what is still holding you together when everything feels like it is falling apart. It might be something small, a breath, a kind word, a moment of calm, the fact that you made it through another day. These small acknowledgements do not solve the problem, but they soften the emotional weight of it. Gratitude works quietly. It doesn't demand that you feel happy, it simply invites you to notice reality more fully. Even on painful days, life is rarely entirely painful. There is often a mix, some loss, some strength, some support, some resilience. Gratitude helps you see the full picture instead of only the wound. For many women, the habit of gratitude is most powerful when practiced honestly. It is okay to say, "Today was hard, and I am grateful that I survived it." That honesty creates emotional safety within yourself. You stop fighting your feelings and start holding them with compassion. Gratitude also has a grounding effect. When emotions spiral, the mind often jumps to the past or the future, regrets about what happened or fears about what might come. Gratitude gently pulls you back to the present moment. It reminds you that right now, in this moment, something is still okay. And that sense of okayness gives you enough strength to keep going. Another quiet power of gratitude is that it rewires attention. The brain is naturally designed to scan for danger and problems. Gratitude trains it to also notice stability, safety, and goodness. Over time, this changes emotional resilience. You still feel pain, but you recover faster. You still face challenges, but they don't consume your identity. For women who constantly give to others, gratitude can also become self-directed. Gratitude for your own effort, for your patience, for the way you keep showing up even when it's difficult. Many women wait for external appreciation that never comes. Gratitude allows you to become your own witness. On hard days, gratitude does not have to be poetic or profound. It can be simple and quiet, a warm cup of tea, a moment of rest, the ability to breathe deeply, the fact that you chose kindness instead of bitterness. These moments may seem small, but they add up. They create a thread of steadiness running through chaos. Gratitude also protects against bitterness. Pain that is not processed often turns into resentment. Gratitude does not erase pain, but it prevents it from hardening the heart. It keeps you open. And openness is essential for healing. This habit is not about ignoring injustice or settling for less. You can be grateful and still desire change. You can appreciate what you have and still work for better. Gratitude does not make you passive. It makes you grounded. And grounded people make clearer, wiser decisions. There will be days when gratitude feels difficult, even impossible. On those days, start small. Be grateful for the fact that you are still trying, still breathing, still here. Sometimes survival itself is an achievement worthy of gratitude. A woman who practices gratitude, especially on hard days, develops a quiet inner strength. She learns that circumstances do not fully control her inner world. She becomes less dependent on external validation for peace. She understands that while she cannot always choose what happens to her, she can choose how she relates to it. Over time, gratitude becomes less of a practice and more of a perspective. Life still has storms, but she knows how to find steady ground within them, and that ability to remain rooted even when things are difficult is one of the most powerful forms of resilience a woman can cultivate.